Welcome back. This is part 2 of masks and why we wear them. In the last one, I spoke about why we all feel the need to wear masks as a protection from the outside world, really. It is to protect us in a sense, and to save us from a type of ridicule or judgment from others, which we all experience. We're all going to go through it because, like I said in that video, that's the world that has been created around us. But you don't have to be part of it if you don't choose to be part of it. If you choose to see the world differently, you can have a different outcome to it. The parakeet there. So yeah, basically part 2, I just wanted to add more to it because I had a lot of stuff written down, a couple of notes and that, and also it's not for the sake of trying to get loads of likes or views or anything else. It's just to try and spread the message, a positive message at least. But the ego, our self-made ego, which I'm referring to as a mask, can become a self-made prison in a sense. And most of the time we've made this prison up in our own minds, in our subconsciousness, over a long period of life, depending how old you are, I suppose, and what you've been through. Certain thought patterns, behaviours, influences around you, and the term of who you hang around with, you become, is so true, so true. The environment you're in, you definitely become, to a certain extent. Even if deep down you feel otherwise, you definitely take on an influence of other people, or their words, their actions, their thought patterns. And most of the time it's thought patterns that have been pushed onto us, in a sense, through media, social media, television, music, all sorts of influences. Sometimes you can feel like them thoughts, the actions of others are part you, but it's not. It's not, because like I said in my last video, if you can't spend time by yourself and be alone with your thoughts, then there is something inside of you that needs fixing by you. And then I said in that video, it's not to judge, not to point fingers and say you're this, you're that. It's something that we all need to do. We all deep down need to seclude ourselves for a period so we can try and work out who we are deep down, because we become someone, and a lot of people become someone they don't choose to be. They don't want to be the person they are, but it's such a norm of society's standards, through looks. And I said in that one about appearances, we all know, we was all taught from nursery and primary school not to judge people from appearances, because we know deep down it's wrong, but we all still fucking do it. We all still do it, And I've had a lot of judgment my whole life, because people will look at me and assume one thing, but there's multiple versions. There's, for however many people you'll encounter in your lifetime, there's that many versions of you in a reality, because there's the version of you in your heart and your soul that you are, but then every other person who you'll come across in your life have already dictated and made up a version of who you are. Before they even get to know you, before they even hear you speak or see your actions, they choose to make up a version of you. You know, and we've all done it. We've all done it. So I'm not some high authority claiming otherwise. I've been there. I've done it, and I've learnt the hard way. And the best way to overcome this is to isolate yourself and go within. And unfortunately, that means from loved ones, from friends, work colleagues, everyone you can come across in your lifetime. You know, you need to seclude yourself to find who you are, because the world's drummed onto us a version of what we should be. And like I said before, we all hide a slice of ourselves, our inner selves, and we present the slice that we know will be accepted from society. And I've had to overcome a lot of demons in my life. I mean, the person I was ashamed of. I was absolutely ashamed of who I was. Even though I was a good person inside, I still done terrible things and thought terrible things and said terrible things, the same as everyone else has, because you fit into the environment that you're around, you know? And we all need to overcome that. The problem is once you've gone inside and you've found who you are, once you present yourself back to the world with your true version, anyone who you've ever come across and has got a memory of you refuses to see it. They refuse to see it, you know, because all they'll do is go, that person done this, that person done that. You know, I've struggled with drug issues a lot of my life, and I managed to overcome that demon. A lot of negative thought patterns, toxic things I used to say and do, and I had to go within and find my true self, my divine self. That's not to say I'm some sort of angel or anything. I'm not, because everything on this planet is a good and bad at the same time. It's yin and yang. You can't have one without the other. But then I said this to someone before, and I could sort of see in their face that it hit deep, and it made them think, you know, that we are all a duality. We are the moon, for instance. We all know the moon has got a light side and a dark side. We know it's there, the dark side, but it benefits no one. It benefits no one on this planet. Whereas the light side can help us through the darkness. So you have to find the balance between the two. And in another note that I wrote down a long time ago was walking that fine line between. Because if you tip too much one way or the other, then you fall into negative patterns, which then lead you back into negative cycles like over drinking, over smoking, over doing drugs, all different types of things. But it's the same on the good side. Now, I wrote down on my note, and when I said it to someone, they're sort of like, "Well, how can you be too good?" The problem is you can be the best person on the planet with all pure intentions and good deeds and a good heart, but then there's always someone negative who will abuse that. And I've had my kind heart abused multiple times. I mean beyond belief. And like a mug, I carried on doing the same good things and then got more and more hurt every time. But it's all lessons. because every bad thing that happens to us can teach us something. Every negative thing in our life can teach us something. And you have the choice to carry on going down that same dark path, or to divert and go to what you're meant to be doing, what you're divinely led to meant to do, or say, or whatever, you know. Now, I've actually seen so many, I mean so many people lose true love, job opportunities, great friends, all because of other people's opinions, what other people have got to say. You know, if you're in a friend group and you're attracted to someone, you turn around and say, oh, I'm attracted to that person, you know, I'd love to date them or whatever. You know, for instance, people become so dependent on what their friends and family have to say with their little opinion without understanding the situation, that people will lose that opportunity, because there's only so many times you can walk over someone who is actually good, who's got a good heart and a loving person. There's only so many times before they crack and they just have to abandon ship, you know. And that's happened to me a hell of a lot of times. That's happened to me a hell of a lot of times. But everyone is the hero and the villain of everyone's story. The same as what I was trying to say with duality. We are good and bad, and you have to find the line between. You have to find that right path in between, the equal balance, before you tip either side. You know, I can turn around and say, oh, this person done that to me. You know, oh, they done this, they done that. But at some point in their story, I'm the villain, because if someone takes the mick out of me and abuses me, and I walk away and take all my love with me, all my efforts, they now feel like the victim. And in one side of their story, they can turn around and say, this person done that to me, you know. So we are all that. We are all good and bad. We are all yin and yang, because it's in everything, you know. For every sunny day like today that I've been blessed with, someone on the planet is being flooded with a tsunami or something. So, you know, you have to appreciate the good and bad in everything. And I've learnt a lot from my inner demons. It took me a hell of a lot of time to get over, because everything is so easily accessible, and for most people, they fall back. They fall back, and because people feel comfortable with that version of them, a past version of them, they'll happily let them sink back into it. And it is unfortunate, you know, but it wouldn't happen unless there was more lessons for you to learn. You attract either who you are or what needs fixing in you. And that goes for partners, friendships, jobs, all sorts. Because if you're just going to sit there and take abuse and, you know, and just accept it, then there's clearly something in you that feels that you're not worthy of better. You're not worthy of better treatment, better love. And everyone can learn something from their negative past, or even negative people around them, you know, because you might be stuck in a situation. It's like, yeah, but I don't choose to live in this shithole, you know, with all these fucking idiots who are blind to all the good things in this world. I don't choose that. But there's a lesson that you've already just learnt yourself, because you know that you deserve better. So why not try for better? Why not shout out to the world, I want better and I'm going to chase better, you know? So there's that fine balance between the two, of you have to be comfortable in what you're doing, good and bad, because you can learn something from it and you can teach someone else. You can make them see the right path from your wrong path. And if all we do is just keep perpetuating negative, toxic ways and words and everything else, then that's all you're going to get. That's all you'll ever get back. And it ain't like you've got to sit there and preach and tell everyone to do this and do that, because people don't want advice. People are happy with their opinions and their thought patterns. That's what humans are. We're all flawed. We're all flawed and we're all ignorant, and we all believe what we're doing is for the best. But someone can show you. A lot of the time it comes off bad because people envy what they haven't got. You've got to try and forget all of your problems, because if you drag them into your future, you'll just stay in that cycle. You know, we can all learn from each other. You know, like I said, we're all the hero and the villain at the same time. What you believe is true and good to someone else's opinions or feelings, you're the bad guy. You know, and it's not to preach, because like I said, I've done stuff I regret and I can't change, because we can't change the past. And I regret so many actions that I've done, so many words I've said, but I don't have to stay that person. And this is what I'm trying to say to everyone. You know, you can become so much more, so much greater. I try and do a lot for everything around me, the environment, charities. I try and give more than I receive, because the universe does reward. And it isn't to, you know, I did this, you know, I lent you a £5, so at some point I'm getting that £5 back. You know, sometimes it's just a good deed. But we can learn so much about ourselves by going inwards. And like I said, once you go inwards, you change yourself, and then you have the next struggle of people disbelieving who you've become, because they're so comfortable with a version that they know of you. And I struggled with a lot of mental issues for a long period, and thankfully overcome it myself. I didn't have the money for therapy. I didn't have anyone around me that understood me, or even though I could tell them, I could read it on their face that they didn't truly get it. They didn't understand. So, you know, for anyone fighting to be better, then I wish you well. I wish you all the happiness. Anyone going through a struggle at some point, I wish you better health. So basically, yeah, let's just wrap it up here, because I could go on forever, and I'm running out of storage on my phone now. So, you know, if it's helped anyone, then great. If it does make an impact, or even in the future makes an impact, drop a comment or something, you know, or even a situation you're going through, and we can try and find a solution to it. Well, that's where I'm going to end it now, because I could go on forever and I've run out of storage on my phone. So if it's helped anyone, great. If I can think of anything else to go with it, then I'll do another video. Thanks a lot.